Hello everyone and welcome back to another Star Stable video. In this video I will be doing Train With Me number 3, which is reading your Star Stable scariest moments. So without further ado, let's get straight into it with the first entry. Miss Sister became best friends with someone on Star Stable. They got so close that they exchanged phone numbers. She had told me and I told her it was fine as long as she doesn't share her address. They're already arranged to meet up at a cafe, so I went with her to ensure her safety. When we arrived, we saw no one was around her age. We sat down and waited. Eventually, someone came up to us, an old man, asking for my sister's name and if she was with me. I shook my head and grabbed my sister's hands because this was the person she was talking to online. Eventually, he left us alone, and I dragged her out of the cafe, and I'm so glad I didn't let her go alone, and I am still shook to this day. That is super crazy. I mean, you should never be meeting up with someone you don't know and you just met them online. So never do this. This isn't really a Star Stable story, but it happened on Star Stable, so I decided to count it, so it's fine. Okay, so here's the next entry. When I was small, I was on the quest in Star Stable where you follow the Dark Riders through the forest. I got most of the way, then I got caught, and for some reason I was terrified and didn't play for a month. You didn't play for a month because the Dark Riders caught you? That's funny. Probably something I would also do when I was small as well. But then they also submitted, when the tornado wouldn't go away when I was small, I thought it was going to suck me up. Honestly, I don't really know for sure, but that was probably me too when I was younger. And then finally, whenever I'd get caught by Galloper or the witch during the gambits, I would scream. I also probably did that when I was younger too, so I'm not gonna blame you for that. I was at Starshine Ranch for a drive roleplay. We set our roles, etc., then we start. This random person comes up to me and is hacking. They had all these horses that aren't in the game, like Rainbow Horse, Starter Horse with ugly coat color, random mane colors and tails, etc. So I said I'm like so I said in my head, oh, so now there's a hacker or someone here now. And then all of a sudden they come up to me and said, do you want to join me? And I said, no, thank you, nicely. And then somehow my game glitched and I wasn't on SSO anymore. I was on my home screen. I went to SSO and I thought it was just lag until I had to update the game, delete it, and reinstall it. About 5 minutes later, I'm back in the game and I found the drive again. I apologized for leaving, and then all of a sudden my game was tweaking. Then a hacker started running around and the people in the drive started running as well, so I started to run with them. But I didn't know what we were doing. Not too long after, this hacker is running around me and my friend, transforming into different horses, saying things you shouldn't, and this part scared me. They threatened to ban my account if I didn't leave the server. It was Nightstar, my home server. The next day when I logged on, it showed me that I was chat banned for 2 hours. To remind you, I didn't do anything wrong. After my chat ban, I go to Starshine Ranch to host a roll, cause why not? Maybe 15 people joined. We did rolls and began. I'm happy because I think the hacker got reported and can't play anymore. About 5 minutes in, the hacker came to the roll in the same fit and horse as me. That's when I left immediately. I was scared to death because this person was haunting me for like 3 days. That's really scary. This like hacker joined you and they're just like harassing you and stuff and chat banning you. I mean, like that's a pretty scary hacker. I know there's some like hackers that just like go on top of like buildings and like kind of like cheat in championships. Like they don't really harm anyone, although they are annoying. But this is like a scary hacker that could like definitely like ruin your whole entire Star Stable account. But anyway, on to the next entry. Just to make this a little more sense, I was a kid who would watch countless scary videos. I'd watch jump scares, shadow figures, literally everything. So now I'm paranoid that they're real. So I moved to where I used to live about 6 years ago. Nothing happened at first, probably because if there was anything there, it wasn't dangerous or something. I still watch scary slash creepy videos at that house. So, as a younger child, I was scared of closets, including mine. One day, I believe my parents were in the living room and I was about to leave the kitchen. Then I heard one of my cats meow from the top of the stairs. But then when I checked, no cat. Yes, the cat could have ran right after, but I didn't hear any cat running, and they are loud when they run. I didn't think much of it, but I did get confused a little. Now, when I think about it, the cat could have meowed from a room at the top of the stairs, out of sight. That would just ruin the story. And then the next one is about a year or two after the cat, there was a week where I woke up between 1 and 3 a.m. every night. But one night I heard what sounded like chopping in the kitchen. No one was down there. It sounded like someone was cutting the air with a butcher knife. My parents didn't hear it, so I don't know if I'm crazy or something else. And then their final story is, now that I'm at my current house, I'm convinced this house is haunted. I have a small space in the corner of my room, diagonal to my bed, and that's where the attic is. The attic. My room is the closest to the stairs, so that's just great. Sometimes I see thin black figures there, almost like it's watching me. But it's so thin I can barely tell if it's just the wall tricking me. Sometimes when I wake up from a dream, I look over there and something's there. But I believe it's just because my dream is messing with reality. For Christmas, I got LED lights because I never bothered to ask for them for some reason. But now I turn them on white and close my door, and I usually stay up till 12 a.m. A few nights ago, it was around 11 through 11:30 p.m. when my parents went to bed. My mom put a heater in my room because she said without it, my room will be freezing with the door closed. So I turned the heater on, and not even 2 minutes later, it went quiet. I'm pretty sure it's not the heater that just stops when the room is a certain temperature, but I had it on for a few minutes. The room doesn't heat that fast, so now I'm convinced something's in my room, probably watching me. These are some pretty creepy stories. You definitely convinced me that your house is haunted now. I feel like the cat story could have been a coincidence, but the butcher knife, that one's creepy. I will say that one's really creepy, and then the heater one's also pretty creepy too. Anyway, moving on to the next entry, we have my first club was called Electric Friends Herd. I still cringe at that name, and I just spammed people so they would join, mostly starters. I got a few really good club members, some of which I'm still friends with to this day. V was my club leader. She was something like level 26 and had a very proper grammar, which really doesn't matter, but still, and she began to be very rude to me and the other club members. So I did what I thought any other person would do. I kicked her out of the club and put her onto my ignore list. This was like 6 years ago, I believe. I went to a championship and someone went up to me saying, "Hey, someone wants to talk to you." So I assumed it was V since she was the only person on my ignore list. So we grew talking and eventually she was like, "I changed. Please let me back." So I did. I was new to club, so I didn't know about dangerous members yet. All was well for a week or so, then she became even worse than she was before, like swearing in club chat, bullying members, etc. I told her after I removed her from the club, I would report her if she kept bothering us. I didn't think about her for a long time. I moved servers to avoid her, but the day I moved back again to different servers, suddenly she was there. She had been following me around and found me and one of my other friends. She began to tell me stuff like, "I know where you live, and I'm gonna oof you." None of which are true, as I am here to this day to tell the tale, but I am very terrified. I reported her to Star Stable with proof of what she did to me, but she never got banned. This is like very scary. Like, this person comes into your club, completely destroys it by like being rude, swearing, and everything, and then gives you threats. And then you reported her and she didn't get banned. Star Stable definitely needs to upgrade their moderation and their support system because, like, it's pretty bad. Or at least with my experiences, they haven't been good. I've sent multiple support letters in and they haven't responded to any of them, so that's depressing. Anyway, let's get on to the next entry. I actually don't have any really, but I'll give you some of my favorite scary features from old SSO. When you would fall off a cliff or something in old SSO, a scary noise would play and your screen would flash red, not black and white how it is now. If you would go into a closed area, this really ominous message would pop up that says, "You're in a closed area and you will be moved home. Repeated attempts to enter closed areas may end up in suspension." I'm not sure if it still says this, but I always thought it was scary. I do not condone glitching anymore, but when I was young, I would visit locked areas a lot, and I was afraid when I would come back to the game, I would be banned or something. I would definitely also be scared if I was glitching that I came back to the game and I would be banned. So that's why I don't glitch. But anyway, those are some very creepy features. I would not like to hear scary noises after I had a dangerous fall because that would be just hearing scary noises 24/7 because I cannot figure out how to not take a dangerous fall apparently, so that's just concerning. Anyway, let's move on to the next entry. I was getting Eric last year. Right in front of Eric, I was grooming it, and someone said, "How did you get that deer?" I didn't respond, pretending like I was AFK because it was awkward. So I left after a while, pretending I was AFK and didn't see chat. I do not chat either. And it was the next week, and I was training Eric. And the same person, same outfit, same everything came up to me and said, "What's your horse's name?" Which was sus because why do you need the name? So I just ran away and she followed me, saying, "Please help me buy a horse." I didn't reply. She followed me. Later, I was training, and on the last jump of the race, she jump scared me and said, "Hi." I just left the Winter Village and changed my server for a while. I'm back on it, and this was like a year ago, and she knows what server I'm on and says, "Don't leave." So I turned Star Stable off. And then I heard something, and I checked my horse in SSO, and it was glitched. It was pitch black, like absolutely black. So then I turned off my iPad for at least an hour and watched the TV. This happened in winter break. And then the next day was going to be Christmas. So I was excited and I played SSO again after 3 hours and I changed back to Frost Valley. And she wasn't there for the rest of the month and year. Now it's Wednesday and she's on and she said, "We meet again." And I got creeped out and I was on Eric again and she was on the same horse and I reported her. And she was also there yesterday. I left and I watched my TV. This is like super crazy. Like this person just like starts harassing you, trying to ask you questions. Like some people don't like to chat in SSO, and you just gotta respect it. I mean, like people don't want to chat. I mean, they're not required to chat. So this is really annoying what this person did. Okay, so the next entry was this was my first ever SSO account, and this person walked up to me and invited me to their club. So, of course, I joined it as I didn't have a club at the moment, and I was younger. I didn't follow much club events nor bought the club set or club horse because I was questing and I didn't think about it properly. Until one time I was doing a race and I caught them spying on me with the entire club, wearing dark outfits and riding dark horses. Every day that there was a club event, they would follow me on a distance and spy on me. Then I found it creepy because I was younger and I didn't really know how to chat them. Then I found out how to leave the club and I left as quickly as I can. That's like super, super, super creepy. This person just invites you to their club and then they just start spying on you when you don't buy the club horse and stuff. That's ridiculous. I mean, like, what are they even thinking? Okay, so finally for the last entry, one time when I first started playing, I was horrified that my account would be banned. So there was this one girl I was friends with for the first while, and she started changing up on me. She started being rude, etc. I told her I don't think we can be friends anymore, and she started freaking out like she was like, "Oh gosh, how could you do this to me? I thought I trusted you," and all that fun stuff. And then she hit me with a "I'm gonna report you." And I said I didn't care. Then she said, "I'm gonna find you and oof you in real life if you leave me." I left since I was starting out and I didn't know the ignore button was a thing. So for about 3 weeks, she was sending me death threats and blackmailing me. And then they also sent in a second entry. So last summer, I was hanging out with my club, and this one player was watching us in the kind of background. It was also at Steve, so I didn't think much of it. Then I started noticing the same player in all the spots I was at champs and quest areas. Then one day, I was doing an RP, and this person had the nerves to join. It was an RP in Silverglade Manor. In the RP, she brought me to one of the cliffs, saying, "We're on a personal trail ride." And in the RP, she pushed me off the cliffs in the vineyard, and I told her, "Hey, can you like not?" And she said, "It's just an RP, chill." And then she kept following me around the map afterwards until I switched servers. And that's like super weird. Like, this person just becomes your friend and then just turns on you, sends you death threats, and reports you. I mean, like, why do people do that? Like, people can be super annoying sometimes, and this person's just like stalking you in your club. I mean, like, I don't understand people. It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted entries, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.